At the scene of the car accident, my blood-stained hands reached out to grasp Seth's pant leg. "Save me, Seth." Holding Roxy in his arms, Seth looked down at me and said, "I'm sorry, but Roxy's forehead is bleeding. I have to get her to the hospital first." Tears welled up in my eyes as I gazed at him. "I'm your wife. Are you really choosing her over me? If it weren't for me back then, you might not even be alive now." He shook off my hand. "Vicky, you can't be this selfish. Roxy has a head injury, what if there's brain damage? Besides, it was your choice to save me back then. I never asked you to." Watching his retreating figure, I lay weakly in a pool of blood. It turns out it was all just my wishful thinking. At 18, Vicky's eyes were full of Seth. Yet at 30, when she saw Seth being bullied, she couldn't help but want to add a kick herself. I stood at a distance, watching several people corner Seth against the wall. Slap after slap landed on his face, and soon a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth, his face swollen and red. The group rummaged through his bag, finding some money but clearly unimpressed, cursing at Seth incessantly. "You little punk, is this all you've got?" One of them patted Seth's face mockingly. "Seth, didn't your slut of a mother give you any money?" As soon as the words were spoken, the group burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha. Maybe she's too busy in some old man's bed to care." Another round of raucous laughter erupted. Seth kept his head lowered the entire time. In the end, they kicked him to the ground and started punching and kicking him, leaving Seth no choice but to curl up on the floor, desperately trying to shield his head. "Disgusting. Son of a murderer." A glob of spit landed on his face. Only after the others left did Seth slowly get up. He spotted me, his face frozen in shock. I turned and walked away without changing my expression, Seth's words from my past life echoing in my ears. "It was your own choice to save me back then. I never begged you." Before this, I didn't know how many beatings he had endured, but I'd already saved him 3 times. Today, I didn't step forward to help him, and from now on, I won't foolishly try to save him again. Perhaps God took pity on my blindness and gave me a second chance. In this world, Roxy is the beautiful and strong female lead, while Seth is the male lead's rival who endured abuse since childhood and could never win the love of the heroine. In my previous life, when I first arrived in this world, I fell in love with Seth at first sight. Seeing him bullied hurt as if needles pierced my heart, and so began my journey to redeem him. The whole world bullied him, so I stood against the world to protect him. I gave him warmth, pulled him out of the mud, and helped him regain a new life. I thought our ending would be perfect, the male and female leads would happily be together, while the second male lead would no longer obsess over the female lead's love and instead stay with me, the one who loved him. Yet reality was cruel. After we married, Seth still couldn't forget Roxy. Even though she had abandoned him and even caused him harm, he remained loyal to her like a dog. There was a time after our marriage when we shared sweet moments. But after Roxy divorced, his heart was no longer with me. After Roxy returned, she constantly provoked and framed me like a malicious supporting character, while Seth started taking her side and blaming me. That night, on our 5th wedding anniversary, he insisted on driving Roxy home, only to get into a car accident on the way. I watched as he carried Roxy out of the car, his expression full of concern and fear that she might be hurt, piercing my heart again and again. After pulling Roxy out, he completely ignored the fact that I was still trapped inside the burning car. With all my strength, I crawled out of the car and reached out with my blood-stained hand, grabbing at his pant leg. "Seth, save me." He just glanced at me emotionlessly before hurriedly picking up Roxy with concern. "Vicky, wait here. The ambulance is on its way. I'll take Roxy to the hospital first." My entire body froze as I stared at him wide-eyed. "Seth, I'm your wife. Are you really abandoning me to save her? What are you doing? Am I really that unimportant to you?" I screamed, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face, unsure whether it was from the physical pain or the agony in my heart. I desperately needed answers. "Vicky, you can't be so selfish. Roxy is hurt, what if she has a head injury? You can't just think about yourself. I watched as Roxy lowered her head, burying it in his chest, her arms tightening further around Seth's neck. What about me? Didn't you see me lying in a pool of blood? Didn't you see I was injured worse than her? Your first instinct was to carry her out of the car. Weren't you worried it might suddenly explode, that I could die too? He shook off my hand that was clutching at his pant leg. But you made it out alive, didn't you? Seth, have you forgotten how you became who you are today? He took a deep breath. Vicky, you were the one who chose to save me back then, I never asked you to. And all these years, I've treated you well enough. I've supported you, let you live without needing to work, provided you with comfort and security. Even if this is about repaying a debt, it's more than enough. I stared at him in shock, my lips trembling uncontrollably. So, being a housewife means I'm living off you? So, being with me is just about repaying a debt of gratitude? Suddenly, everything felt like it didn't matter anymore. Roxy nestled intimately against his chest, her lips curling slightly. Seth, my head hurts so much. Please don't fight anymore. If Vicky hates me, I can leave. He cast a cold glance at me. Don't mind her. It's all because I spoiled her too much. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have separated, and you wouldn't have suffered so much after marrying Kane. Roxy lowered her head and snickered quietly, then let's hurry and leave. I'm so scared the car might explode soon. He resolutely carried Roxy away. As I lay despairingly in a pool of blood, tears trickled down my cheeks, falling to the ground. With these last words, I died in that car accident. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to being 18. At 18, Seth had a murderer for a father and a homewrecker for a mother. At this time, he was suffering from severe bullying. Whether in school or outside, there were people waiting to torment him. He was weak and helpless, easily crushed by even the slightest insult. In my past life, I shielded and protected him, resolving all malice and obstacles for him. All he had to do was sit quietly and study hard. In the end, he got into university, left his hometown, and became a successful man, even an outstanding alumnus of his alma mater. And I, to take care of him, became a housewife, tending to his daily needs. During his speech at his alma mater, the list of people he thanked included his first love Roxy for her companionship, his teachers and principal for their guidance, the school's gatekeeper for his protection, and even those who had humiliated him in his youth. He thanked them all for inspiring him. Not a single word of thanks for me, Vicky. My name didn't appear once in his thousands-word speech. All my actions seemed utterly ridiculous. Now, as I walk further and further away from Seth with my back turned toward him, the path ahead becomes increasingly clear to me. This time, it will be me who gets into university, me who starts the company, and me who lives life on my own terms. The next day, Seth was the last to enter the classroom, limping toward his seat. As he passed by me, he shot me a dark look. Vicky, you saw everything yesterday, why didn't you? He didn't finish his sentence. I raised my head and gave him a cold smile. What is it, classmate Seth? What do you need from me? My voice was loud enough that the entire class instantly turned to look in this direction. His face, still swollen and red from being hit, wore worn-out clothes as he stood there, flustered and at a loss. Everyone around him stared. Do you want me to help you? But why should I? No, I don't need it. With these words, she blushed and walked to her seat, lowering her head as much as possible. That's right, you don't need to. After class, Roxy approached and blocked my desk. Vicky, you clearly saw Seth getting bullied yesterday. Why didn't you help him? Such a kind-hearted heroine. Seeing her speak up for Seth, I almost wanted to applaud her. I glanced at her. Roxy, if Seth needed help, he'd say so himself, and he just did say he doesn't need it. Anyway, those guys come for him often. If you're so worried, why don't you just stay with him from now on, walking him to and from school to protect him? The gazes of classmates around them shifted back and forth between the two, whispering. Roxy's face turned red instantly, and she glared at me with gritted teeth. She didn't want to be friends with the son of a murderer, Nor did she want to ruin her image of kindness, let alone lose Seth, her devoted follower. I don't have time. Throwing out these words, she ran off. Watching Seth lower his head in embarrassment, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. In the days that followed, I devoted myself to studying seriously. Meanwhile, Seth remained trapped in relentless bullying. Dead rats kept appearing on his desk every day, his books were constantly torn to shreds, and a group of students would always corner him after school to beat him up. His name had become the son of a murderer. Even walking with him made them feel ashamed. In my previous life, because I stood up for him, these incidents happened once and never again. But now, since he never resisted, those people bullied him even more brazenly. Roxy appeared a few times, saying to him each time, "Seth, my heart aches for you. Hang in there. I believe you can overcome this hardship." Standing behind them, I couldn't help but laugh at these words. Haha, I also believe that with Roxy's sympathy, Seth will surely break through his difficulties. Their faces turned red and pale respectively. After that, my grades kept improving, while Seth's plummeted to the bottom. I guess he was beaten so badly that his brain took some damage. One day, the class monitor suddenly walked up to the podium. The class fund was stolen. Did anyone see what happened? The crowd below gasped in shock. One person stood up and pointed at Seth. It must have been Seth who stole it. He was the last one to leave last night. As soon as those words were spoken, everyone turned to look at Seth. I didn't. He shook his head, his face deathly pale. Seth, your family is so poor, who else could it be but you? Exactly. With a murderer for a father and a mistress for a mother, it's only normal for you to steal, right? What a disgrace, sneaking around like a thief. A group of people chattered relentlessly. Suddenly, Seth shouted loudly, "I told you, I didn't do it." Vicky was also at the end back then. Why aren't you suspecting her? The classroom fell silent in an instant. All eyes turned toward me. I set down my pen, stood up, and looked at him. I left before you. How would I know if you stole it or not? How dare you say that, Vicky? Quickly tell them I didn't steal anything. He pointed at me angrily, his voice trembling with rage. How laughable, he didn't dare to shout at those who bullied him, yet he had the nerve to order me around. I glanced at him with cold eyes. Just search his bag and we'll know. No, you have no right to search my bag. He hurriedly hugged his bag to his chest, as if it were his fig leaf. You have no right to search my bag. I didn't steal anything. Vicky was walking at the back, maybe she stole it. Why don't you search her bag instead? I promptly took out my own bag and dumped everything inside out, revealing no money. So, this has nothing to do with me. The class monitor pouted. Vicky, your family is well off, we obviously know you wouldn't steal money. He turned his head to look at Seth. Seth, Vicky has already proven herself, so hurry up and take out your bag. I won't, I didn't steal it, and you have no right to search me. He clutched his bag tightly. You're really pushing it. Several people rushed forward and grabbed him. His bag was instantly opened, and everything inside fell out. Inside were 2 plain steamed buns, half of a bitten meat bun, a few empty bottles, and that stack of money. He quickly broke free and knelt on the ground, stuffing the buns and bottles back into his bag, clutching it tightly to his chest. It really is you, you little thief. Seth knelt on the ground with lifeless legs, tears continuously flowing from his eyes. I didn't steal this, you framed me, you did. Humph, Seth, don't think everyone is as despicable as you. Exactly, he stole it himself and even tried to make us suspect Vicky. Disgusting. He must be broke and starving, that's why he stole the money. Just look at his shabby appearance. Truly disgusting. The classmates looked at Seth with disdain. Seth kept lowering his head, muttering softly, "It wasn't me, it really wasn't me who stole it. I didn't do it." A noisy crowd escorted him to the teacher's office, and soon the whole grade knew about it. Teenagers couldn't think of any vicious conspiracies, framing and shifting blame were what they excelled at, and it was also the most hurtful. The money was indeed planted in Seth's bag by them. I glanced at Roxy, who was watching the drama unfold, and smirked coldly in my heart. In my previous life, this happened as well, but because I kept gathering evidence, it ended only after those students and their parents apologized to Seth. Afterward, Seth still told me to show mercy where mercy is due. Huh, what a fool. Seth's mom showed up in the office an hour later, heavily made up. In the office, his mother slapped Seth twice directly. I sent you to school, and this is how you behave. What's the difference between you and your murderer father? Seth was forced by his mother to kneel on the ground and apologize to the teacher and classmates. Seth refused, so his mother kept hitting him, punching and kicking as if he were her enemy. It was the teacher who intervened, or else he might really have been beaten to death by his mother. In the end, it only ended after Seth knelt on the ground and banged his head heavily 3 times. From then on, Seth was bullied even more severely. Haha, you didn't see his mother, thick makeup, and probably some plastic surgery too. I heard his mom even got breast implants. I bet she's extra, in bed, ha 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 ha. Standing by the restroom, Seth clenched his fists, his eyes bloodshot. Yet, he still didn't dare to rush out and demand justice for himself. Since then, Seth became even more sinister, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. I often felt a chilling gaze during class, and when I turned around, it was Seth staring at me. One day after school, as I entered an alley, I turned and noticed Seth following me. He stepped closer and closer. I looked back at him, only to see his face full of resentment. Vicky, why didn't you help me? You knew it wasn't me who stole it, why didn't you speak up for me? What the hell? Didn't you help me before? You're so rich, what's the big deal with helping me out? Just say one word for me, and they wouldn't be so cruel. His eyes were bloodshot, and the crisscrossing scars old and new on his arms looked grotesque as he glared at me with a sinister expression. At that moment, his face twisted into something monstrous, devil-like, as the small knife in his hand scraped against the wall, producing a piercing screech. Heh. I casually dropped my backpack, leaned against the wall, and let out a cold laugh. So, are you trying to get revenge on me now? You wouldn't even retaliate against those who bullied and framed you. Even if they insulted your mother right in front of you, you wouldn't lift a finger to fight them. And now, you actually want revenge on me, someone who just refused to help you. Seth, why are you so cowardly? No, more like disgusting. I'm glad I stopped helping you. An ungrateful wretch like you doesn't deserve it. Ah. His eyes widened as he pointed the knife at me. Shut up, just shut up. You could have helped me, but you refused. You're no better than them, trash, scum. I'll slash your face and make you as rotten as me, buried in the dirt. He charged straight at me, but just as he got within arm's reach, I kicked him square in the chest. While he clutched his chest in pain, I stepped forward, grabbed his arm, slung it over my shoulder, and hooked my foot around his. Slap. Ah. Seth was thrown to the ground, writhing in pain as he curled up on the floor, howling miserably. I looked down at him coldly, pressing my shoe onto his hand. Ah. It hurts. Seth, almost no one knew I would be here. Let me think, who told you? No one told me, I just wanted to ruin you, he said through gritted teeth. Oh really? Let's see whose life gets ruined first. After lifting my foot, I kicked him with all my might. Seth, I'm trained. Didn't you know that? In my past life, the bullies outside the school beat him too badly, so I learned Muay Thai to fight those thugs. Never thought this skill would one day be used against him. With the college entrance exams approaching, I stopped paying attention to anyone. Seth hasn't shown up for a month since that day. Until a cockroach appeared in my water bottle. I stared at the water, lost in thought, then glanced around at the people nearby. Spotting a familiar figure by the back door, I grabbed my bottle and rushed over. Just as Roxy was about to enter the classroom, I seized her hair and yanked her backward. She screamed, "Ah!" You're insane, Vicky. I scoffed lightly. If you dare to provoke me, you must bear the consequences. Tell me, why did you put cockroaches in my stuff? I tightened my grip, forcing Roxy's head to tilt back. It wasn't me, you crazy bitch. Oh really? I lifted the glass containing cockroaches and poured a sip directly into her mouth. Speak up. Ugh. It wasn't me, it wasn't me. Just as I was about to give her a second dose, she screamed in terror. Ah. It's me. I'm just mad that you wouldn't clear Seth's name, he obviously didn't steal the money. I wanted to teach you a lesson. The surroundings fell into silence. Roxy hung her head, quietly sobbing. I glanced at the classmates watching the drama unfold and let out a cold laugh. Ha, you two must be real close. Since I refused to help him, now you're getting back at me. Last time, he launched a sneak attack, and now you're stirring up trouble here. Tell me, what do you think Kane would say if he knew you dared to do all this for another man? I turned and walked away. I hadn't planned to bother with them anymore, but they just had to come looking for trouble. Kane is that male lead currently in his Chunibu phase, who finds everyone irritating, behaving like a violent hothead, constantly spouting cringe-worthy nonsense like the sky's cold and the king's ruined. Fortunately, his extreme, almost pathological possessiveness is solely directed at Roxy. I often feel the narrative of this world is downright rotten. Why should everyone revolve around such repulsive protagonists as the male and female leads? A week before the college entrance exam, to keep those three occupied, I sent Kane a message. By the time my exams ended, rumors about Seth and the others were spreading like wildfire. One day, someone discovered Kane and Seth fighting in a factory with Roxy also present. The three were subsequently taken to the police station. In the end, Roxy testified that Seth had attempted to rape her, prompting Kane to intervene, leading to the brawl. Seth was detained and not released until after the exams. Though Roxy eventually signed a letter of forgiveness, Seth was left with a permanent stain. He now had a criminal record. On the day I left my hometown for college, I heard the news that Seth had been put in jail again. Sean, my classmate, was full of gossip. Oh my God, do you guys know what happened to Seth now? The crowd buzzed with chatter. I heard his mom kicked him out. They say he went to work somewhere. TSK, what a mess. Neither he nor that Roxy are good people. Sean shook his head. No. He really was kicked out by his mom, but after wandering around for a few days, he showed up downstairs at Roxy's place. Somehow, he broke into Roxy's house and cut out Roxy's tongue. Oh. My God. And, also, later on, he somehow got his hands on sulfuric acid and sprayed it on the gang members who used to bully him and the people who accused him of stealing money. That same night, he was arrested and thrown in jail. Damn, this guy is ruthless. Damn, if he had fought back earlier, he wouldn't have suffered so much. Tisk. Some are criticizing him, while others feel sorry for him. Suddenly, Sean looked at me and said, Vicky, his vindictiveness is so strong. You should be careful too. I smiled faintly and replied, he won't be getting out anytime soon this time, and besides, he probably won't be able to find me in this lifetime. I'll go somewhere he doesn't like. I continued listening silently behind them, feeling a bit dazed. All the classmates in the group are stepping onto their university paths one by one, heading toward their own futures. I, too, will seek my own freedom. In the blink of an eye, I've spent 20 years in City H. Here, I've walked a completely different path from my past life. In my past life, I repeatedly told Seth that I wanted to spend some time in a snowy city because I loved snow so much. Without hesitation, he outright refused. When I asked him why, he simply said he didn't like it. Yet I saw Seth again in this city. He looked utterly defeated, sunken cheeks, unkempt beard, like a beggar on the streets. The moment he saw me, his vacant gaze suddenly lit up with intensity. Vicky, I finally found you. All these years, I've been searching for you while working construction shifts. Looking for you in this city has been so hard, thank God I found you. I eyed him warily, instinctively taking a step back. You're out. What do you want with me? He's acting very strange, and how did he even know I was here? He lowered his head and gave a light laugh. Vicky, why has my life turned out like this? I actually went to prison, served a full 15 years. His eyes gradually turned red, and he wiped away his tears, staring straight at me. Vicky, it was all because Roxy kept saying you refused to help me before, that I went after you for revenge. Now I don't blame you anymore, please take me home, okay? We'll go back to how we were before. I believe we'll definitely be better off. And then will you betray me again like in our past life? As soon as the words fell, Seth's expression changed. How did you find out? I secretly pressed my phone in my pocket, staring at him expressionlessly. The Seth in this world will never know I'm here. Only you do. He was silent for a moment, then chuckled coldly. Right, it's me, Vicky. I'm your husband. How could you treat me like this? Do you know how devastated I was when I arrived here? I opened my eyes to find myself as an ex-convict who had just served 15 years in prison. How ridiculous. I've lost everything now, Vicky. You've succeeded. Your revenge is complete. He laughed and cried like a madman. I didn't take revenge on you. This was always the path you were meant to take. In our past life, I helped you escape all this. This time, I simply didn't lend you a hand. Ah, he suddenly roared. Vicky, why? Just because I didn't choose to save you in the car accident, is that why you came back to do this to me? Why? Because you killed me. He widened his eyes staring at me. Impossible, how could you be dead? You were clearly so. Then why else would I go back to the past? I stared at him coldly. He hobbled forward 2 steps. I thought you were angry with me, that's why you ignored me. He paused, then laughed. It's all right, wifey. It's all that bitch Roxy's fault. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have ended up like this. In my past life, she ran off with my money, so I killed her. This time, I just cut out her tongue. She won't be bothering me again. Let's start over, okay? I know you still love me. I frowned at him. Seth, it wasn't her bothering you, you were the one who got involved with her. Just leave. I don't want anything to do with you in this lifetime. No. You clearly said you'd save me, that you'd never leave me. I don't care about past lives, in this one, you're staying with me. His face twisted into a snarl as he quickly moved toward me. Just as I tried to lift my foot, I suddenly felt my limbs go weak, followed by a dizzy spell. He swiftly grabbed my wrist. Vicky, I know you know martial arts, so I slipped something into that glass of water you drank earlier. I collapsed weakly to the ground, looking at him with resentment. Seth, aren't you afraid of going back inside? I'm scared, of course I'm scared, but I'm even more afraid of leaving you. Bah. You beast, I won't let you get away with this. Spittle sprayed onto his face. Slap. He struck me across the face. Vicky, why didn't you help me like you did in your past life? If you had, I wouldn't have turned out like this. He smirked slightly, but it's fine, as long as you help me for the rest of your life. I will definitely regain my former status. In your dreams. Slap. His eyes widened, and he hit me again. As Seth tried to pick me up and carry me away, I passed out helplessly. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. The nurse told me that while Seth was carrying me away, he was caught by the arriving police. Seth was locked up again at the police station, but this time, he wouldn't be held for long. During the days he was detained, I returned to my hometown and found his birth mother. I brought her here, thinking he would be happy. A few days later, sitting on a plane headed abroad, I glanced at my watch. By now, Seth should be out and reunited with his mother. Gazing at the clouds outside the window, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. My life was still full of hope, but Seth, you'll never escape the mire. Didn't you say your mother was the one you hated most? Then I'll make sure you stay with her forever, never to part. Seth's childhood suffering came mostly from his birth mother. He hated her so much he wished he could kill her, yet he obeyed her every word, showing how deeply terrified he was of her already. In a small town abroad, I received a message from my old classmate Sean back home. Seth had been taken back to their hometown by his mother, who insisted on gambling every day, eating well, and dressing expensively. She forced Seth to work 3 backbreaking labor jobs every day, yet all the money he earned was gambled away by her. As for Roxy, ever since she lost her tongue, she was abandoned by the protagonist Kane and spent her days holed up in her room. Somehow, she and Seth hooked up again and even got married. No wonder people say they're truly meant for each other. So Seth started his days of doing hard labor to earn money for his mom and coming home to beat his wife. Later, Roxy couldn't take the beatings anymore. Rather than divorcing Seth, she found an old bachelor, offering herself for free on the condition that he would beat Seth daily. Thus, Seth resumed his days of getting beaten up every day. I felt indescribably joyful as I closed my laptop and looked up at the clear, cloudless sky. Everything was just perfect.